It's another beautiful day here in Scotland, and it's so calm, such a calm, peaceful day. So I'm going to head to a beautiful location in the countryside to sit and immerse myself in the peace that's surrounding me today. Last week I had the flu. I'm still recovering from it a little bit, so I'm not going to go on an adventure today, but I'm going to go and just have some lovely peaceful time in nature. But before I get to the location, I'm going to head to one of my local cafes and get myself a takeaway lunch to take with me, so I can just immerse myself in the beauty. So let's go and enjoy this beautiful day in northeast Scotland. So I've ended up at one of my local castles, and with it being during the week right now, I thought it might be quite quiet, and rightly so it is. I'm the only one here. So I'm going to go and find a lovely spot by the castle to sit and eat my lunch, and while I'm doing so I'm going to spend some time tuning into this location, listening to the sounds of autumn, looking around me, admiring what's around, and once I finish my lunch I'll be ready to create some photographs. But firstly, the first thing I'm noticing is the incredible clouds we have today. Although there's quite a strong blanket in the sky, a very thick cloud, there's a few breaks in them, and they're also quite interesting, really interesting in fact. If you look here, the sun is just beginning to poke through the clouds there, but just some really interesting formations I feel in the clouds today. I love the openings that we've got and just the different lines and shapes within it. Could make for some interesting images. I really value days like today where you take a beautiful hot flask of tea out with you and you get some warm food and you're able to sit and eat in nature, specifically at this time of year, because when the days get colder and shorter, you this alfresco dining, you kind of think, oh, that's the end of the summer and the autumn and the warmer months, and yeah, there's not really, I don't know, maybe psychologically we start thinking that eating outdoors, it's, you know, not something we can necessarily do at this time of year. But at the moment, this week, although it is a bit chilly, we've got a very settled week this week with very minimal rain forecast and no winds, just a very light breeze. And actually it's pretty pleasant being out here right now and just sitting in this beautiful, quiet place. And this time of year I also really value it because it's so quiet. It's not tourist season, so you've not got loads of people visiting, but equally a lot of people spend time indoors or they're doing indoor activities at indoor events. So when you come out into nature, you often get it to yourself, or there's very little people around. And it is such a blessing because you can really tune into the stillness of this time of year. And I often find as well that the sounds of nature are magnified at this time of year. And in November, which we're in right now, it's probably the first month where that stillness and that silence, we begin to reconnect with it again. And because of that, it's so loud and so beautiful to listen to. Especially today with the sounds of the birds. Amazing. Look, there's a kestrel over there. Wow. So let's get on to the photography. Right, I'm sitting here right now and I'm surrounded by quite a vast expanse. A lot of grass, both alive grass here, nice lush green, but also down here we've got a lot of dried grass and dead grass. There's fields surrounding me. We've got quite a few pools of water in the fields over there, although they're too far away from me to get to them and actually photograph them because they're in other lands across a stream here. But around me right now, this is what I'm viewing. A lot of this sort of open expanse. I used to find locations like this very challenging to photograph, especially on days like today where there's not that much light. We have got the sun up here trying hard to poke through the clouds, but it's very, very fleeting, and when it does come out, it's like a little burst of light and then it's gone again. So let's see what I can find to photograph today, because in situations like this, it can be quite challenging, depending on how we view it, and I just like to see, what can I find to photograph? Will it infuse me and excite me? Because as I've spoken about quite a lot recently, I personally love colour, vibrancy and contrast, which can be quite challenging to find on days like today. Although, if I get down on the ground and try and utilise the beautiful greens of the grass, we may get some of that, doing a bit of macro. But let's just see what I can find, because it can be a bit of a challenge in conditions like this. And maybe whatever I find may give you some inspiration for your own photographic journeys when you're faced with similar conditions like this. Got some hooper swans. That brings back wonderful memories. I used to do quite a bit of voluntary work with the RSPB when I was younger, and I spent a year at a nature reserve called Loch of Strathbeg in Aberdeenshire, and it was a lot of hooper swans and geese at this time of year. So every time I hear them flying past, it brings me back to those days. Such a beautiful sight to witness. Beautiful birds. Oh, there's more in the distance too. So the kestrel has just landed in this tree behind me here. It's really well camouflaged. It's landed right behind a branch. It's also a little bit too far away for me to photograph it. But I'm going to keep an eye on it, because it might open up some interesting photographic opportunities, especially if it comes out again and starts hunting. I think this is the biggest blessing of this time of year, is being connected with these birds on a deeper level in some respects. There's a lot less bird song, I find, like the sort of garden bird song at this time of year, but the birds like the geese and the birds of prey and the hooper swans, because all the trees are bare, you also see them so much more. It's like, especially in places like this vast expanse, and because there's much less noise, it really helps with the visual element. I heard recently on a podcast they were speaking about meditation, and there's certain types of meditation where you focus on different senses, and they were saying that we cannot focus on more than 2 senses at a time. So I find this really interesting, because if we're at a location where there's a lot of noise or a lot of things going on, and we're like sensory overload, I imagine it can be quite difficult to create images. But when we're out in nature and we're focusing on what we're seeing, but also how we're feeling, and then from time to time we bring in that sense of hearing, and we hear the world around us, and then we connect that with vision, or we feel things, we touch the texture of things, and add that element into it as well, and then combine that with the sense of vision and sight, it really enhances the experience. So a time of year like this, where it's much quieter, there's much less things going on around you, so you're not being visually distracted all the time, but also you're not hearing loads of noise, and there's not loads of stimulation around you. It can be easier to see things that are moving in the landscape, but it can also be easier in some ways to connect with them, because you haven't got all that distraction. And especially if you're somebody who's interested in mindful photography, this time of year is really, really beautiful, because that peace and that stillness that this time of year naturally creates allows us to engage with that sense of mindfulness and that peace and tranquility and stillness on a much deeper level. I was just admiring the dried grasses, and then as I was walking further, I've just come across these. These are so beautiful. There's some interesting orange bits on this. I'm not sure if I've ever seen this before, and if I have, I've definitely not stopped to have a look at it. This is so beautiful. And I found it just literally by just walking around. Amazing. As I was walking back to my car, I was seeing quite a few potential photographic opportunities around the moat here of the castle where we still have some water. But didn't have the right shoes on to get close to the water, and something told me to keep walking. And as I got back to my car, there was a beautiful robin underneath, which I just missed getting a video of him, but he was sitting right underneath the back of my car to greet me when I got here. And if you followed my YouTube videos for a while now, you'll know that last winter I had a very close connection with a robin at one of my local lakes. So who knows, maybe this winter we're going to have some more beautiful robin encounters. I think today, although I only created a couple of images of that grass that I found, it's been listening, observing, witnessing the bird life here today that's really been the beauty. It's been so relaxing, and this beautiful sense of peace and tranquility that's here. It's been really lovely to connect with that. And something I'm offering this winter season is some online sessions via Zoom called Mindful Mondays. We've had 3 sessions so far. They're free to attend, or it's on a donations basis, so you can come along and attend for free. And if you enjoy them and you'd like to support my work and send some gratitude for my time, there's a donations link at the end for you to do so. But yeah, these sessions, you can come along no matter where you live in the world. Every Monday I'll be hosting them throughout the winter season. Every week we begin with a 15-minute grounding meditation. I guide you through a meditation and connect you with your senses. I then share some thoughts. I've got a plane taking off here. I'm right beside an RAF airbase, so the aeroplanes are just taking off there. But yeah, we start with this 15-minute meditation. I then share some thoughts with you to inspire you for the week ahead, linked to something to do with mindfulness, nature, well-being and photography. And the second half of the session is open to you, the participants, to either ask me any questions you may have or share your own thoughts and experiences with regards to the topic that we're discussing. If you'd like to join us for these Mindful Monday sessions, you can find all the times by going over to photographicconnections.com/Mindful Mondays. It'd be lovely to see you there, and it's just an opportunity for you to breathe, connect and share at the start of every week. And yeah, a chance for us also to connect a little bit more personally too, which is really, really lovely. And thank you to everyone that's come along to our session so far. Every week is a little bit different and exploring something slightly different each week. So yeah, if you'd like to join us, please do so. And yeah, all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching. It's been a bit of a peaceful, relaxed video this week with not too much photography, but it's been beautiful to share this lovely afternoon venture with you. Well, this is exciting. I was getting ready to leave the location and I discovered that I had a little spider on me. He was going across my hand as I was eating a cake that I bought earlier. And he's now gone onto my steering wheel. So I've got my macro lens out again. So before I leave and send him outside back to where he belongs, I thought it would be exciting to create some images of him. I mean, why not? These could be the best photographs of the day. So interesting. I don't know what it is about little spiders at the moment, but I'm thoroughly enjoying photographing them. So yeah, a few videos ago, photographing the spider. That's a tiny little spider on the blowing leaves in the woodlands, and today a spider decides to join me in my car and come on a little adventure with me. And yeah, beautiful to try and photograph him. Very challenging. I've got a black steering wheel, and the contrast between the dark areas and the light that's, as you can see here, that's reflecting on the steering wheel, created quite challenging circumstances to photograph, as well as the speed in which he's been running around. But now is the time to release him back into nature, and yeah, the best photographs I got today, arguably, came from in my car, but the subject matter came from nature. Beautiful.